None of us can help the things life has done to us. They're done before you realize it, and once they're done, they make you do other things until at last everything comes between you and what you'd like to be, and you've lost your true self forever. That's a line from a Eugene O'Neill play. We're going to talk more about that on St. Louis in Tune. Well, welcome to St. Louis in Tune, and thank you for joining us for fresh perspectives on issues and events with experts, community leaders, and everyday people who make a difference in shaping our society and world. I'm Arnold Stricker, along with co-host Mark Langston. Mark, greetings and wonderful times of happiness to you.
Salutations.
There's the word.
Howdy. Good to be here. Good to be here.
It's good to be here also.
Good to be anywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, folks, we're glad that you joined us today. You can listen to previous shows at stlintune.com. Please help us continue to grow by leaving a review on our website, stlintune.com, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast platform. Our return to civility is for those people who really like to walk. And a lot of walkers out there, Mark. And I'm not talking about the people on the treadmills either. I'm talking about people who actually get outside. And they're either walking their dog or they're walking themselves for exercise. Right. But it's moderate your walking pace to the people that you're with. Except that ended with a preposition. Moderate your walking pace to the people you're walking with next to you. If you stride ahead, you're just going to have to turn around and wait anyway.
So if you're the slowpoke, how do you slow them down?
Tie a rope to them?
I'm always like, hey, hold on, wait up for me. And then they feel really bad about it. But that's how, I'm a slow walker.
Well, you can tell them that this is your pace that your doctor has told you to walk at.
That's it. I know. Yeah, I find myself lagging behind quite a bit. Finally, I just go, I don't care.
Or you could just drop off and fall down onto the grass and say, that's because you were making me walk too fast.
I keep trying. I know, and I try to keep up, but the older you get, the harder it is.
It is, but it's good for you. So folks, get out there, but pace yourself with the person that you're walking next to. That would be very beneficial. Well, our guest today is William Roth. He's founder and artistic director of the St. Louis Actors Studio. His career began back at the Theater Guild of Webster Groves. He did a stint in the Marines, directed and acted in a festival at the University of Missouri St. Louis, spent some time at the Orthwein Theater, and for the last 20 years has appeared in countless Shakespeare productions, many other stage productions. In addition to founding the St. Louis Actors Studio, he developed the Gaslight Theater in historic Gaslight Square. You're a Gaslight kind of guy, William. Welcome back to St. Louis in Tune, because you were here during the pandemic.
Thank you. Things are a little better these days.
They're much
Just
better.
A touch.
Yeah, as we were talking a little bit before the show, you did a really great job of kind of continuing the interest in theater during the pandemic because people couldn't get out.
Yeah, we needed to do something to keep our patrons engaged, and luckily we have a playwright that works with us who also did some TV that he owned, and so he gave us Neil Abute, I'm speaking of, and he had Billy and a bunch of other TV that he had done. And he gave us the episodes to send out to our patrons every week to keep them engaged. And we did do there wasn't a whole lot of Zoom theater that I liked because it tried to pretend like it was on stage. But we found a John Burroughs grad who had written a play that actually takes place on Zoom. And so we produced that also. And that worked out great.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And we were talking also, many restaurants and just businesses didn't adapt during that time. And I think many have suffered the consequences of not being able to morph into keeping their audience or keeping their patrons with them.
Yeah.
And you guys seem to get creative with that. And if that had not happened, what do you think you would have been doing?
You mean our ability to adapt, or if the
with the
pandemic had
video
happened?
Technology? And
I don't know. I think a lot of us would have stopped or started from scratch. Really, if you didn't have a way to keep people engaged, and more importantly, continuing to subscribe to something, there's no financial stream coming through, so getting them to donate yearly as they would when they came to the plays, it would have been starting over. And the hardest thing was just people's routine of going to the theater.
Right.
There was so much streaming that suddenly became available that they're like, why would I leave my home?
But
so that was the toughest part. Was, hey, you can go out now. Come here.
Nothing like live theater, though.
Right. Nothing at all.
Like live radio.
Right. Exactly. Nothing like it. Really.
Talk a little bit about the St. Louis Actors Studio. Why did you found it? What's involved? How do people become a part of it? Give us a little rundown on that.
I've been an actor for a long time. I also run a small marketing firm, and that's really how it started. I was sharing some office space on the Hill. I was the last guy in. The other guys in the building were growing, and they needed my space, so I kind of got the boot. Friendly. It was a friendly departure, and I needed office space.
Get out.
And so I found these buildings on Boyle as I looked at offices around town, and we're like, that's a lot of money for 1,200 square feet. And then these poor little buildings on Boyle had been sitting there since the 50s, boarded up. And I thought to myself, well, maybe I could buy those and get some tax credits, and who knows what my mortgage might be. And so anyway, long story short, I bought them both and rehabbed them, put my marketing firm in one, rented that one out, and then thought about it. What if I built a theater and see who might need theater space? And then it's like, I can't have someone else use this. I'm an actor with my own theater. Why? So I quickly decided, hey, maybe I'll start a theater company. And the nice thing about that was that during rehab, we had a year to introduce the community to it. And lots of tours as we were doing the rehab and turning it into a theater. And a high school buddy and I started the West End Grill and Pub, this restaurant. And we had this culture cuisine cocktail idea between the commercial arts and the performing arts and the culinary arts. So I started the Actors Studio as a theater for about it's a small stage, 18 by 18 foot. So it's not about lavish costumes. It's not about big sets. It's about actors, intimate setting, actors and and acting. And that's how it all got started. It wasn't really a grand plan. I had no interest or wasn't looking to start my own theater company. It just happened organically.
So what do you do during off-show times? Do you get actors together? Do you do classes? Because I know that you're having Austin Pendleton is actually a director, actor, playwright, is in for the show that we're going to be talking about.
He's directing the current show, and those are the sorts of things that we do. We bring people like Austin into town to do master classes. We teamed up with Talent Plus to offer, and others to offer the master classes. While he was in town for the last 5 weeks, every Saturday, he held master classes for actors at the Gaslight, and so people signed up for that.
Wow.
So we try to engage the other artists that are the opportunities that they may, actors and designers and playwrights and movie makers might not have independently.
So how do you bring him in? He was supposed to be on the show, Mark, and he's getting up there in age, and even for us, it's a little difficult to get around the older we get, and because he's just here for the show to direct and do some kind of discussions with some of the actors. But it's like this just didn't work in his schedule. How'd you get him in here?
I've known him for 11 years.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and he's a pretty accessible guy in New York, as most people are in New York. And those that are interested in producing art and not necessarily showing off their personal fame, he is a very generous fellow. And so I met him he teaches at HB Studios, very storied place in New York. And has been there forever. He's a member at Steppenwolf and has been for years in Chicago. And he was directing Ethan Hawke in Ivanov at the Classic Stage Company, which is where we first got together after a class that I took of his. And I talked to him about a few things, and he was like, hey, I'd love to come and direct or do something. And so it took a while. I had him in twice for master classes and it was easiest when he was working at Steppenwolf, because then on their equity day off is on Mondays. I could have him fly him in Sunday night, teach all day, send him back to Chicago. So that's how 2 of his previous appearances happened. And I tried to get on his schedule for years. He's busy. And I finally found he's never directed O'Neill before.
Really?
Yeah, which is amazing because he's done just about everything.
We're going to talk about that in a little detail. That performance is actually going to take place, folks, February 7th through the 23rd at the Gaslight Theater. It is A Long Day's Journey into the Night by Eugene O'Neill, and it's directed by Austin Pendleton. Stars William Roth, Megan Baker, Joel Moses, Dustin Petrillo, and Bridget Bassa. And you can get tickets at Ticketmaster.com.
Yeah.
Right, that's correct.
That's easy.
Yeah. Now, I want to go back. What was your introduction to being involved in the theater?
I went to a small private school in Sunset Hills. I'd never seen a play before. And in 1976, I went to London on a school trip and was immersed in theater. I'd never seen live performances before. Richard Burton in Equus, Rex Harrison in Blythe Spirit, just on and on, ballet and opera. And I remember sitting at the Royal Haymarket for the first show, a Robert Morley show, comedy. And it was like, when the lights came, I couldn't believe it. It was just like, what the heck is this?
Why haven't I known about that?
And I was only 14 at the time, but it did open my eyes to something that I thought was pretty incredible. And it took me a while. I saw plays and was a patron from the kind of that time on, and the school focused on Shakespeare and plays and theater. And so we saw a lot of it theater while I was there. I really didn't get into it until I got out of the Marine Corps and back in St. Louis and just started. I was a business major at UMSL, but my friends were all theater majors, and they always need somebody to be in something. That's how it started.
You couldn't get out of it, could you?
No. I did have I used to ride horses competitively when I was young.
Really?
There was a article in a horse magazine that Francis Ford Coppola was looking for a young rider for Black Beauty. And as a joke, my family sent my name in. It actually, long story short, progressed almost to the point where I was cast, where my headmaster was going to leave school and educate me while I was on. But he was in the Middle East, found the young man who had playing the lead. But so I almost did it early on, and then nothing happened again.
Do you still ride?
I don't. No, it's a
Is
lot
it
of
a Western
a lot of work.
English?
No, English. Yeah, it was
English,
a hunter jumper, pony hunters.
Oh, ooh,
yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's quite a deal.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a long time ago, but my brush with fame came early and quickly.
How are your knees?
Because I play a lot of hockey, they're not very good. But
it's a horse thing. Your knees really get it.
Yeah, they do.
So why this play? Did you choose this? Did a group of you choose this? Or?
I have our artistic associates, Anna Maria Pileggi and John Pearson, help me every year. And previous years, Milton Zoth and others were with me. But I mean, we picked this play because sooner or later you got to do O'Neill. Personally, I was hid from him because I assumed it was arcane. I assumed it was tough, the language. And then I saw Jessica Lange. I just happened to be in New York. I go to New York to see theater and understand what's out there for us to produce. And I saw Jessica Lange do it in New York. And I couldn't believe how fresh and young, how modern the language was, and how amazing that play is. Just... you see a lot of plays, and a lot of time it's like TV shows. You're like, oh, that was good. And then you see ones where you're just like, holy moly,
right.
That was something from beginning to end. It's a longer play, too, that just flies by. And that's another thing, too, is just, can I handle that much time in the theater? And then it's like the time goes by and the lights come up and you're just like...
Where'd the time go?
And this is one of those plays. And so we had to get to him sooner or later, and this was it. And Austin was here to direct it, and this cast is incredible. And the story it's his grand opus. It's a story that he wrote about his family, unfortunately his family. It's one that he presented to his wife on our anniversary and asked her to lock it up and not do anything with it until after his death.
For 25 years.
Yeah, which she didn't do. Lucky for all of us, when he passed away, she understood its importance and got it published immediately.
So why is this play why does it grab people? Because it's really, I don't want to say it's dark, and maybe it just reveals humanity. And every family has some of these kinds of scars and open wounds in it. Why does it vibrate with people?
It vibrates in a bunch of different ways, I think. I think it vibrates for those that understand at its very core what's going on, that live with addicts or are codependent or have family issues that just build and ebb and flow, and you just go around, aren't able to quite get out of the cycle of, I think you really hurt the ones you love, can be that for a lot of people. But it also, I think, for those that aren't alcoholics or drug addicts or dependent on anything, you understand it better from this story because it's so extreme, and I think it helps build empathy towards those that have these issues. And really, it's like this play written in the 40s that takes place at the turn of the century. You understand that our struggle is the same, and it hasn't changed. And these human dependencies and codependencies have been there since the beginning of time, and the more we understand them, the better we are, I think.
Yeah. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston of St. Louis in Tune. We're talking to William Roth. He's founder and artistic director of the St. Louis Actors Studio. And he's here to talk about the upcoming Eugene O'Neill play, Long Day's Journey into the Night, which will take place February 7th through the 23rd at the Gaslight Theater. Tickets are available at
Ticketmaster.com.
Ticketmaster.com. I always wanted to say Eventbrite, but Ticketmaster. Yeah. Ticketmaster, folks. Ticketmaster.com.
Or at the box office an hour before.
And you have some interesting things going on along with that. The shows are at 8 o'clock on Friday and Saturday and Thursday, and Sunday matinee at 3 p.m. You have something coming up on February the 7th, this Friday, with the director. Cast and crew.
Yes, if you attend opening night, and we hope everyone in St. Louis does, although we only have 97 seats, but we're having a reception afterwards, and so you can meet the cast and crew next door at the Black Mountain Wine House and hang out with us and let us know what you think, and meet Austin and talk about the Muppet movie or any of the 200-plus films he's been in, Short Circuit and What's Up, Doc, and the list goes on and on.
He's something else. I was
Catch
looking
22.
up his I was looking up his little bio and looking at all the movies he was in. It's, man, alive.
Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Now, when there's been a lot of revivals of this play on Broadway, and it seems like I was looking at does this take place in a 20-year cycle, 40-year cycle, or whatever. And there's been a couple movies, I think, that have been made about this.
Katharine Hepburn.
When you're prepping for this, do you go view any of those, the movies? Did you see some of these when it was I obviously saw the Jessica Lange.
Yeah.
She was on Broadway.
I try not to, generally. And, I mean, that's really what makes the acting experience so robust for us is that those discoveries you make hopefully, if you have a long enough rehearsal process, in rehearsals with the director and the other cast members. So you don't really need that unless you feel some sort of deficit or there's a moment that you can't quite figure out. You might look towards other folks to see what they did, but I don't know that it serves you very well ever to see how other people do it, because if you have a strong enough ego, you're like, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, or the way we decide it should be done.
And how open has he been to, I think I'm going to answer my own question here, but I know some directors are like, you got to do it this way, you got to do it my way. Is he like, okay, you feel that's the way to do that, go ahead, because that makes sense to you?
Yeah, and to the extreme, to the point where I really hadn't experienced that sort of director before. He came in with a definite idea on how he wanted the set, on how he wanted the look and feel, because it's very minimalistic. You'll find it's a very simple set, which works great in the gaslight. But unlike a lot of directors that will do moment to moment, you'll do a couple pages, go back to read. He likes to, as he calls it, it's jazz. It's here's what I think your characters are. Here's where I think the environment is. Do your thing, and I'll correct you if I think there's issues. And if I'm not giving you the feedback that you need, then come to me and I'll give you the feedback, as opposed to stop, start, stop, start. Here, try this, try that. So it was a very organic process, and we did runs from day one, and we just continued to do runs. We didn't do Act 1, Scene 1 10 times or whatever.
It gets to be very fluid then.
Yeah, exactly. And like he said, this is jazz, this show, and do what you feel, and I'll rein it in if it's an issue.
So you said that's a little different than what you've been used to. Most directors are, hey, we're going to do Act 1, and we'll hash that out, then we'll do Act 2 and hash that out.
Yeah, they do French scenes, so they work. And it's organizationally, we have a small cast, so this didn't. But sometimes with bigger shows, you don't want to call. If you're doing runs and you've got a Shakespeare show with 20 characters and you're calling everybody every day, and you certainly early on may not get to the end of Henry IV Part 1, although this show's long too. But so it's, I'm called today because we're doing this scene, and you do it to set the scene and learn the blocking. So really what's different is a lot of times you learn your lines in blocking because he walks over to the window, looks out, he asks you a question, you answer it. So that all works into your memory work on what you say. Now you can't depend on necessarily where the actor's going to be on stage to prompt you. You've got to really be paying attention, and it really leads you to be like listening and answering and really doing, I think, what the job is of an actor, and that's listening to everyone on stage and what's going on, as opposed to going, I move here, I say this, I do that.
Yeah, speaking about that, I want to pick that apart, William, because how you as an actor dissect a part, because I've read where some people, I'm going to read this, I've read the script 200 times. I know the entire script. I know other people's lines. And just like you said, okay, I'm using that cue, they're going off to the window, so they ask that question, I give this answer, versus you lose any kind of spontaneity or any kind of, as I've evolved into this character, I know this character would react this way rather than this way. How do you prepare yourself, and how do you encourage others to prepare when you just get the script and it's okay, our production is like how many months away?
Know yourself, first of all, and I know that I'm now 61 and it takes me a lot longer to memorize than it did. There was a time when I was much younger, I could do a Shakespeare show and learn it in rehearsal and not be a drag on the rest of the cast, know it when I needed to know it. Now I know that it takes much, much longer. So the first thing I've got to do is just learn my lines and do it way in advance and get out of the way. Not know that rehearsal is not the place to learn them for me, because it gets in the way of all about the valuable things that you need to know if you're like constantly looking at your script or calling for line or whatever. But yeah, that sort of work prior to understanding, I'm not an alcoholic. James Tyrone Sr. is. I've certainly known a few, but haven't lived in their skin. So understanding that, especially an unabashed, unforgiving one who is not a drunk, and I've never missed a performance, and the things he says when he's confronted with his alcoholism, those sorts of things, you've got to figure out what the motivation is behind that and what it is that these high-functioning alcoholics. So what if I drink 10 bottles a day? I can drive and I can do this and I can do my job. And so you study you got to figure out who your model is that you're going to, and it could be very well. And there's so much of him that I do understand and have lived through that I was just like, as you read it, you do need to know every moment, everything like the back of your hand. So reading the script over and over and over is helpful so that you do know exactly what's going on at all times. So that you can adapt and understand where that none of that gets in the way. You can be ready for what the rehearsals and performances give you.
Do you, as an actor, sometimes, because you know some of those other lines, if a line is missed, do you help that or intercede or give them this is what it is? Or...
That's the beauty of live theater. I don't know how many times a good cast that all know these things that we just discussed. I hate to admit this, but last night as I was going through the play, I felt as though, and actually it was a simple action of dealing cards that I did too early because my character says something about, are you going to stop talking or will you deal? That led us to miss a couple lines of dialogue. That as the play was progressing, my mind was like, well, what information had I, because I messed that up, is there anything that we did that the audience needs to know? And so I did double back and add, there wasn't, but just to be sure, I doubled back, added a few words that weren't O'Neill's so that I could get to a couple lines that I had missed in order just to make myself, and the actor who was wide-eyed.
What are you doing?
Yeah, but they do. And that's the beauty of live theater. Everybody understands. And that is why you need to understand every moment and the story you're telling and what they're doing, and understand that when something goes wrong, what went wrong where and what's been missed, and is it important and can you move on? And all these things happen in your brain while you're continuing to say the things that you've learned. And it's really an amazing thing.
And it must be a real trust between the actors on stage. How is that developed by you guys spending time together? It's just not on stage. You have to have some kind of relationship off stage.
With us, it begins with casting. We do. Dustin Petrillo, I'd never been with before, who plays Edmund, my youngest son. But his reputation preceded him from the things that he had been doing. And so we knew that we wanted to see if he was available. He was. And Joel I had worked with before. And Megan as well. I've known Megan for a long time. So that trust was all there. I knew those guys. And you're not in this. We're not in it for the money. So I think where you would run into trouble like that if I hire is, are they young? Do they have no experience? So that maybe they wouldn't understand, haven't learned that yet.
Right.
Or are they some sort of rich person? And none of us are that. So it's not, hey, this is just a job for me. Yeah. They understand the gig and work hard and come prepared.
That's interesting. We're going to come back, take a little break here. We've been talking to William Roth. He's the founder and artistic director of St. Louis Actors Studio. We've been talking about the performance that's going to take place February 7th through the 23rd at the Gaslight Theater. That's Long Day's Journey into the Night by Eugene O'Neill. We'll talk more about that after our break. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston of St. Louis in Tune. This is Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune on behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation. In 1857, the Dred Scott decision was a major legal event and catalyst that contributed to the Civil War. The decision declared that Dred Scott could not be free because he was not a citizen. The 14th Amendment, also called the Dred Scott Amendment, granted citizenship to all born or naturalized here in our country and was intended to overturn the U.S. Supreme Court decision on July 9, 1868. The Dred Scott Heritage Foundation is requesting a commemorative stamp to be issued from the U.S. Postal Service to recognize and remember the heritage of this amendment by issuing a stamp with the likeness of the man Dred Scott. But we need your support and the support of thousands of people who would like to see this happen. To achieve this goal, we ask you to download, sign, and share the one-page petition with others. To find the petition, please go to dredscottlives.org and click on the Dred Scott Petition Drive on the right side of the page. On behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation, this has been Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune. The United States has a strong tradition of welcoming newcomers and refugees. The Welcome Corps is a new service opportunity for Americans inspired to welcome those seeking freedom and safety and in turn help strengthen their own communities. Welcome Corps is a public-private partnership that is inspired by what Americans represent to so many around the world, a beacon of hope and refuge. All it takes is a helping hand. Are you ready to learn more? Contact the International Institute of St. Louis at info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090. That's info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090. I want to welcome you back to St. Louis in Tune. We're talking to William Roth, founder and artistic director of the St. Louis Actors Studio. I'm Arnold Stricker along with Mark Langston. I want to remind you folks, you can get your tickets at Ticketmaster or at the box office 1 hour before a show. That show is Eugene O'Neill, and it is my brain is just not working today. A long day's journey into the night. Yeah, it's a long day's journey into my night,
What a great venue. 97 seats in the whole place. Is that
the Gaslight it was a torn-down building that I found that was just a beautiful architecture built by a British-born architect, A.M. Baker, in the turn of the century. And when I took it over, it had no roof, and no one had been in it since the 50s. But everybody drove by it. Boyle is the busiest street. And so we slowly made this storefront proscenium. It's a kind of not just a storefront theater, but anyways, it just turned into this acoustically beautiful, intimate space that is really
it's
fantastic.
A great venue.
Oh, yeah, 97 seats that's amazing.
Yeah, the right number. You go see big shows, and it's after the fourth row,
you're
like, what's going on?
Where's my opera glass?
Right. Yeah, so we're all about small theater.
Pretty neat.
Spaces.
Yeah, you're right there. And then it used to be at the Gaslight, or not at the pub.
The West End Grill.
West End Grill. You would just go right there and get something to eat. Yeah.
Yep, and that's the same thing with Black Mountain Winehouse that's there now.
Yeah.
That's where the act break in the bathrooms and our reception, everything. You go right through the double doors into their space.
Yeah, it's really cool. Catch something before, go there, back, boom.
Right. And good parking, I'm sure.
Street parking. We're trying to teach those St. Louisans who like to have parking lots and all drive their own cars that if you have to walk a block and a half, it's not that big of a deal.
It's not.
We got street parking from Lindell all the way to Delmar on both sides of the street.
Wow. Okay, you're good.
And if you feel like you need a red carpet, just bring your own.
Exactly.
So tickets are available again, folks. Ticketmaster. The performances are Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 3 p.m. The Pulitzer Prize for Drama was given posthumously for Eugene O'Neill, and it's very autobiographical. Reading about his life, I don't know, how much do you get into his life to understand the characters at all?
Not so much. More so this play, because he was trying to expel the ghosts of his family through writing. It wasn't really even his intention, I don't think, maybe eventually, but a lot of times I'm going to write about this and then I'm going to have it, send it out into the universe, and then hopefully that'll exorcise these ghosts. He was like, I'm going to write it, get it out of my head, understand it, give them their due, and lock it up. He's also a playwright. Here's another thing that's interesting with him. When you get his scripts, there's as much writing in his scripts about what he intends for the actors to do or what the characters to do at every... Because usually you get a script, it's got some stage direction, but it's usually the stage manager who's noted those and then they publish it. He is very specific. Not that we pay attention to that, but his intentions are known within his script.
Really?
He gives a detailed description of the character. He gives detailed internal motivations almost after every line. So you really don't have to do much investigating with him on what he's intended there. But I don't think I don't think we needed to understand his childhood, or it's all there right there, really.
Yeah, it seems his whole life, even his kids, when I was reading about him, what a sad situation where two of his sons committed suicide. His daughter, I didn't know this, Mark, married Charlie Chaplin when she was really young and he was old. Yeah. And then he disowned her, and it was just a horrific kind of family life.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to say I think, it is representative of a lot of society and where we are in our culture.
Right.
And maybe that's why he resonates with so many people, is that he just writes real life. Are there other plays of his that you enjoy?
Oh, Moon for the Misbegotten is a continuation of this, Jamie, his most troubled son. But this is really where it's at as far as he's concerned, in my opinion. You can get caught up doing a bunch of, we try to mix it up from year to year because there's so much to do. But this is considered his grand opus. It really is his finest play. It is one of the greatest plays ever written. But I want people to understand that it's not just a couple hours of a bummer. It's so poetic and funny and modern. The language is so modern. So don't feel as though you're going to sit through a couple hours of Shakespeare. There are colloquialisms that you're like, really? They were saying that? The language is exactly the same language that we use today. There's no...
Can you give us an example of that?
Dope fiend and just these funny little explanations of things that you're just like, really? They were calling things that back then?
Yeah.
But just, you're a fine lunkhead. That's what I call my son a lot. It's just lunkhead. That's like a funny little, just little things that it's not like, I'll get these to the medicine cabinet and bring me my whatever.
A sentence full of expletive.
Yeah, it's something, and it just flies by. And Patrick Huber's set and the things that we have and the sound, Christie's sound and the whole, and Teresa Doggett's costumes that are period costumes that we're in are beautiful. And the lighting is just, it's really something. This play is not produced that often. And so if you have an interest in these days, because it's a beast to accommodate, if you have even an inkling that you want to see it, this is a chance that you won't get very often.
Are there other things on the docket for the rest of the season?
Yes, Carter W. Lewis, who's a local playwright, who's a playwright in residence at Wash U, no longer, but he's still here in St. Louis, is a wonderful playwright who we've produced some of his one-acts through our one-act festival that we hold every July. His newer play, With, is our next play in April, and then we have our 11th annual LaButte New Theater Festival, which is a festival of one-act plays, and that's in July.
Okay. If you want more information, folks, you can go to stlas.org, stlas.org, and William has a website himself. It's wmroth.com, wmroth.com. You got a great shot with your hair on that, man. I envy everybody that has great hair.
It has hair?
Yeah. Especially if it's thick and the gray and the white, it really looks good. Congratulations.
Yeah, we like the hair.
I grow it where I can.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming in, William.
Gosh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been fun having you in here. Mark, we're going to take a brief break, and we'll come back after this message. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston of St. Louis in Tune.
Thanks for listening to St. Louis in Tune. On each and every show, we strive to bring you informative, useful, and reflective stories and interviews about current and historic issues and events that involve people, places, and things. Hey, we cover a wide range of content in the arts, crime, education, employment, faith, finance, food, health, history, housing, and humor, justice, and sports, and that's just to name a few. While St. Louis in Tune originates from the Gateway City and covers local topics, we connect to what is going on nationally as well. If you missed any of our previously aired programs of St. Louis in Tune, simply visit stlintune.com. That's stlintune.com. There you'll find every show from our first to our most current. Use the search engine and look for a show that might interest you. And if you have an area that you'd like us to examine deeper, let us know. Just drop us a line at stlintune@gmail.com. That's stlintune@gmail.com. St. Louis in Tune, heard Monday through Friday on the usradionetwork.com and many great stations around the U.S. and, of course, right here in St. Louis. Our website again is stlintune.com. stlintune.com.
This is Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune on behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation. In 1857, the Dred Scott decision was a major legal event and catalyst that contributed to the Civil War. The decision declared that Dred Scott could not be free because he was not a citizen. The 14th Amendment, also called the Dred Scott Amendment, granted citizenship to all born or naturalized here in our country and was intended to overturn the U.S. Supreme Court decision on July 9, 1868. The Dred Scott Heritage Foundation is requesting a commemorative stamp to be issued from the U.S. Postal Service to recognize and remember the heritage of this amendment by issuing a stamp with the likeness of the man Dred Scott. But we need your support and the support of thousands of people who would like to see this happen. To achieve this goal, we ask you to download, sign, and share the one-page petition with others. To find the petition, please go to dredscottlives.org and click on the Dred Scott Petition Drive on the right side of the page. On behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation, this has been Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune.
They're back. They're back. Spooky.
I was going to do the Jack Nicholson. Here's Johnny.
That was a scary movie for me.
And that was he made that line up.
Did he?
Yes, apparently that was not part of the script, and he was just like, it's like Robin Williams. You never knew what was going to come out of his mouth. And apparently they had like translators on site when they were doing the Mork and Mindy show, because he would say some curse word in another language, and they were like, we can't do that one.
Somebody knew it. Okay.
So that's Mark Langston back there. This is Arnold Stricker over here from St. Louis in Tune.
Yep, they keep me off camera. It's a good thing, because today I'm looking pretty rough.
Got a face for radio.
I know. It's pretty rough today.
It's a rough morning. It was great having William Roth, to talk about the Eugene O'Neill show that I couldn't remember the name of it. Long Day's Journey into the Night. I hadn't had my second cup of coffee yet.
Yeah. And boy, he's quite an accomplished fella.
He really is.
Horsing around, and then he said he does hockey.
Yes.
He's got the adult. I know a couple of older guys that are on a hockey team. The older guys' hockey team.
It's tough.
I can't.
He's in a tribute band, too. And I said, we're going to have the tribute band come in.
Really? I missed that.
We've done that.
I must have missed that. Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
He's something. And he's only, 62 or something?
Yeah, 61,
early
62.
Early 60s, anyway.
Still has head of hair.
Oh, I know. He's putting us all to shame here. I'm telling you. I know.
My goodness.
Fascinating fellow.
It is, and I think it's a great venue. We've been there, my wife and I, to see a show, and it is very intimate. You're right there with the actors on the stage. It's not far away, and there is decent parking on the street there.
Is there much in that neighborhood at all? I can't. I'm trying to think of.
It's on North
Boyle.
Boyle.
Uh-huh.
I think there's more on South Boyle. It's more residential around there, but it's like one of those strip buildings that used to be like businesses, and so there's multiple ones there in a row.
I just can't picture where it is, but it sounds like fun.
It is, and I want to encourage you to go, folks, also because the opening night, the director...
Now, when is opening night?
Opening night is Friday, February the 7th.
Okay, this Friday. Tomorrow. According to this show.
This is being recorded on February the 6th.
Okay.
But it would be great because you get a chance to meet Austin Pendleton.
That is big.
Yeah, I was really bumming when I found out that he wasn't going to be coming into studio to talk to us. But I understand. I hope I'm as spry and getting around and doing as much as he is when I'm 85. I'm shooting for 92.
Are you?
Yeah. That's my goal, 92.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't want to go past that?
If I can, yeah. But that's
so once you get to 92, it's, hey, I made it.
I made it to the top of the mountain. Now we're going to go more.
Okay. All right.
Got to start somewhere.
I know.
So our word of the day. We haven't done a word of the day for a while.
No, it's been a while. Or yeah. Let's hear it.
Fugacious.
What a where's?
Fugacious. It's Fugacious. Fugacious. Fugacious is a formal word that describes something that lasts only for a short time. Describes something that lasts only for a short time. So I had my Fugacious cup of coffee this morning. So here's the rock band's early success proved fugacious.
Ooh.
Within 2 years, its members had moved on to other careers.
I'll be darned.
Or savor the enduring pleasures of life as intensely as the fugacious ones.
I see. Like a one-hit wonder?
Yeah, one-hit wonder would be great representation of that. We did a show on one-hit wonders.
Uh-huh. That was a great show, actually.
It was fun. Yeah.
Really enjoyed that show. Wow.
And St. Louis in Tune is not a fugacious radio show podcast.
No, it's...
We're on our 8th year now.
And show 328, and I think there's more than that,
There's
actually.
more than that, right? Because we were doing 2-hour shows.
Right.
So that's our word of the day.
Did you... it's National Chopstick Day. I don't know if that's any kind of important to you or not.
I love using chopsticks.
Do you?
Yeah, I like actually square-sided ones rather than just plain round ones.
Oh.
It's easier for me to hold.
Well, I guess it is. Actually, I went to St. Louis Sushi Station last night.
Woo-woo.
Yep, and got to use some chopsticks.
Yeah.
I love it a lot. National Lame Duck Day is today.
Oh. Some people should do that all the time.
I know. Optimist Day.
Is there a National Pessimist Day?
I would hope so. Pay a compliment day.
Oh.
Have you paid a compliment to anybody today?
I said that you were looking effervescent.
That's right. Now, it's also National Valentine Shopping Reminder Day.
Oh, and if you haven't bought your roses, you could buy your roses ahead of time.
I'm lucky. I am the luckiest
Your wife
guy.
buys you the roses?
No, the cats eat the roses.
Oh.
So we can't buy roses.
Oh.
Because the cats eat the roses.
Is there a flower that you buy, or they just eat all flowers?
No, they eat every flower that we brought in the house, they've eaten.
Really?
So
do you bring your
I'm
wife
off
candy?
the hook. What? Yeah, I get her candy and other stuff. I'm having trouble with her eating the candy, though.
The cat eat the candy, too?
No, not usually. No, we keep the... How about Ronald Reagan Day?
It's National Ronald Reagan? Oh, it's his birthday.
It is his birthday, but they call it National... A couple other birthdays gone by is Babe Ruth's birthday is today.
Oh, wow. Mr. 714.
Wow. Look at you. And Bob Marley's birthday would have been today. Yeah, man. That's right. There's Natalie Cole's birthday. I don't know. There's a couple others. But those are some of the... Time to Talk Day. That's important. We did a show on mental health. Mm-hmm. There's a day that you should just... Hey, let's talk.
And I want to do a commercial for that, 988. If you're feeling like you really need to talk to somebody, you can text or call 988. That is the national hotline for, I believe it's like suicide prevention, mental health awareness.
Yeah. And you mentioned tomorrow's National Red Day. Wear red.
Wear red day in honor of the Chiefs.
Oh, really? A KU guy is... Okay, you guys okay with the Chiefs?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Kansas City.
That's true. A National Bubblegum Day is coming right up.
Did you, when you were a kid, eat the bazooka bubble gum?
Oh,
the pink stuff, and then you had the cartoon inside?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so big, though.
Oh, it was.
You start chewing them. My jaw would get sore.
Yeah.
It would. It would really get sore.
And we used to buy the baseball card chewing gum things. I'd kind of throw the baseball cards away just for the gum.
Yeah, you shouldn't have done that.
Or put a baseball card on your bike and
we did that a lot too. Yeah.
That was that Mickey Mantle card.
Oh. Yeah, that's the one. That's
the Mickey Mantle rookie card.
Wow. Holy moly. You like fettuccine Alfredo?
Yeah.
That's National Fettuccine Alfredo Day for your Italian friends
we
out
ought
there.
to devise our own national days.
Why not? And, of course, National Rose Day is on its way. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Wave all your fingers at your neighbor day. All your fingers. It's National Wave all your fingers.
As opposed to one?
I'm not saying they're number one. You know how people are saying you're number one. But you want to do all the fingers. Like, hey.
Wave at your neighbor day anyway.
Yeah, okay. This is not good. I don't know. Bubblegum Day? Yeah, we talked about Bubblegum Day. Yeah.
Have you ever had any of that Big Chew? The baseballs, rather than it being tobacco.
Oh, yeah.
It's like shredded bubble gum.
I've had it before.
Is that any good?
It's okay. It loses its taste so quickly. Same thing with juicy fruit. Juicy fruit loses its taste quickly.
Yeah.
I like juicy fruit, but it loses its taste. And I am not a big bubblegum chewer anymore.
No.
I was chewing bubblegum about a year ago, and one of my fillings came out with it.
It will do that.
And so I said, nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Like hard candy. No more hard candy.
Oh, I can't do it. I'm very afraid of it. National Kite Flying Day is coming up.
Yeah, that's fun. We did a show on kites with the kite flyers here in St. Louis.
Yeah. How about Opera Day? That's just around the corner.
Yeah. Opera Theater St. Louis is getting ready to gear up for their production and their season.
No fooling. Laugh and Get Rich Day.
Well, that should be every day.
Laugh yourself into better spirits and enrich your health and happiness today.
Oh, enrich. I thought it was Laughter and Rich Day.
It says Laughter and Get Rich Day.
And Get Rich Day. Oh.
They didn't say should said enrich day.
It wasn't the cha-ching rich.
Cha-ching, no. It should be.
It's just I'm feeling better.
Yeah, you want to be enriched. We're getting enriched. Global Movie Day. Don't know what that's about at all, but I like movies. Mm-hmm. Do you ever go to the movie theater?
We do. It depends upon what the movie is. I'm trying to remember. We went to the Alamo down at the Alamo Theater.
Oh,
which is down at the Foundry.
Okay.
And they have the great seats that you can lean back, and they're like moon seats, and you fall asleep, and they come around and serve you drinks and food. Mm-hmm. It's nice. I'm trying to remember the last one. Maybe it was Gladiator 2 we saw.
Huh. Now, of course, the Super Bowl is coming up this weekend.
Yes. Who are you rooting for, Mark?
And I don't know. It's been hard for me to root for Kansas City.
Why?
Because they've always been our arch enemy. And then when the Rams left, it's not really their fault, but they were leading the charge to
That's correct.
To vote and get
the Rams out.
To get the Rams out. And some of the Rams, or the Kansas City fans, have really criticized the St. Louis fan base, I think, in the past. And Randy Moleman has that Molehole show, and he did a comparison once on when the Rams had a bad season and when Kansas City had a bad season and what kind of attendance they were getting. And by far, the St. Louis fans showed up more than the Kansas City fans did, even when it was a terrible, horrible season.
Wow.
But yet we were very criticized by them. But I am a Missourian, so I am rooting for the Kansas City.
Not a fan of the City of Brotherly Love football team?
No, not really. It should be. I just hope they both play really good and they don't choke. Mm-hmm. They don't get scared because Patrick Mahomes is or whatever is going on there. Mm-hmm. I hope it's a good matchup. I think it's a great matchup, but I hope it's a good game. We were talking on the Molehole this morning about how long there are bets being taken. How long the national anthem?
I was listening to those.
Is going to be, and if Taylor Swift,
right?
If they'll show her during the national anthem.
Yeah. No.
You don't think so?
No.
I said no. Randy said yes. So he thinks they're going to pan over to her.
They can't do a flyover either because it's in the Dome down at New Orleans or New Orleans.
Oh, that's right. New Orleans.
No flyover.
That's true. That's true.
Well, they have some drone flyover.
I forgot about that. That's right. That's right. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting day. And it's also the Super Bowl Sunday is a couple of weird things. National Pizza Day.
Well, that makes sense.
What do you like to eat at the Super Bowl?
That would be good. Yeah, pizza. I would go for that.
And it's also National Man's Day. We don't get enough stuff going on, do we? Right.
It's National Man's Pizza Day.
That's right. And this is your day coming up, National Toothache Day.
Oh, yeah.
You've had
I'm going to the dentist Monday also.
Are you really?
Yes.
See how this is?
I might not be able to talk for the show on Tuesday.
Oh, brother. Okay. And Chocolate Day and there's just so many days. You can't keep up with them.
No.
They're so hard to keep up with.
And it's almost humorous that some of the things that you find out have these national days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Who's doing that?
It's like the teacher who asked the student, "Where's your homework?" And the student says, "I lost it while wrestling this kid who said you weren't the best teacher in the school."
Ooh. Give him an A.
Yeah. We should be able to call in healthy. Look, I'm not coming into the office today. I feel really good, and I don't want to waste it being at work.
I think that's perfect.
Speaking about teachers and educators and students, my teacher pointed a ruler at me and said, "At the end of this ruler is an idiot." I got a detention for asking, "Which end?"
Oh. I'd give him an A for that.
Ooh. I just received my electricity bill the other day, Mark. I think they build me for sunlight, divine light, and the light at the end of the tunnel.
Don't get me going on utilities.
Speaking of what to eat during the Super Bowl, charcuterie boards. That you have cheese and meats.
Oh, yeah.
A charcuterie board is basically an adult Lunchable where you swap the Capri Sun for wine.
We weren't sure if we wanted to applaud that or not.
I just found out the neighborhood had a meeting about the crazy person on the block, and it's weird that they didn't invite me.
Did they have their number? Your number?
You know it's a cold day when your teeth start chattering and they're still on the nightstand.
Oh. Wow.
Oh.
No. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Let's see here. As a kid, I used to watch The Wizard of Oz and wonder how someone could talk if they didn't have a brain. Then I got social media.
Oh, God.
Earlier today, I saw a bumper sticker that said, "I'm a veterinarian, therefore I can drive like an animal." Suddenly, I realized how many proctologists are on the road.
Oh, no. It's like waving with all your fingers. Right?
Yeah. This was actually on breaking news. A man was admitted to the hospital today with 25 plastic toy horses inserted in his rectum. Doctors have described his condition as stable. Ouch.
Woo. That's it.
And my brain says, "I see you're trying to sleep. Well, can I offer you a selection of your worst memories from the last 10 years? And lastly, my friend forgot his laptop on the floor of my room. My grandma thought it was a scale. Conclusion, she weighs $950.
Wow. You can get them cheaper on eBay.
Yeah.
Holy moly. Wow.
That's all for this hour, and we thank you for listening, folks. If you've enjoyed this episode, you can listen to additional shows at stlntune.com. Consider leaving a review on our website, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and continue to grow. I want to thank Bob Berthasell for our theme music, our guest William Roth, and co-host Mark Langston. We thank you for being a part of our community of curious minds. St. Louis In Tune is a production of Motif Media Group and the U.S. Radio Network. Remember to keep seeking, keep learning, walk worthy, and let your light shine. For St. Louis In Tune, I'm Arnold Stricker.